And what I'm simply trying to say is there's a lot of things in our mind and in our past, in our experience, that we just put off as normal. It's just normal to think this way. It's just normal to act this way. It's normal to have this type of stuff happen in our life. But when your mind begins to be renewed, you realize that stuff is not normal at all. That stuff is me being conformed to a pattern. I've been conformed to a pattern. A pattern in my family, a pattern in the way of thinking, a pattern in the way of responding, a pattern in the way of emotions. It's a pattern. And we're not supposed to be conformed to patterns. We're supposed to be renewed in the spirit of our minds, to begin to think according to a different line, so that, according to Paul, we will know what the will of God is. To keep that scripture up there. And what we've done with this, which is interesting to me, is we've taken what Paul says about the will of God, which is good, acceptable, and perfect, and we want to break that up into 3 different categories. Well, sometimes you can do the good will of God, sometimes you can do the acceptable will of God, and sometimes you can do the perfect will of God, right? How many of you heard it like that? I can do the submissive will of God, which means, God doesn't necessarily want me to do this, but He's not going to stop me from doing it, and I can get away with doing it. Like, we're trying to find out what we can get away with and still be approved by God. Where's my scripture at? Romans 12:2. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And we want to break this up into 3 categories, and it's not 3 categories, it's just one. Because God's will is the only good will for your life. God's will is the only acceptable will for your life, and God's will is the only perfect will for your life. Now, if you want to argue with that and try to do something else, well, you go ahead, but you're not going to experience the full goodness of His will. You're not going to experience the full acceptability of His will, and you're not going to experience the perfection of His will for your life. And you're going to compromise, and you're going to take something that's just a little bit less because you're trying to figure out how to do the submissive will of God when there's no such thing. There's only God's will, period. Period. But it's not until your mind is renewed, till you begin to think a different way, that you begin to explore and understand the will of God for your life. Now, this is I'm preaching 5 messages in one. Are you with me? I only have 30 to 45 minutes. I do the best I can. So if you're thinking I should go somewhere, I probably should, but I don't have time. Jesus said in the garden, remember Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane? He's sitting there praying, sweats of blood, which is the first time Jesus bleeds in the story of the crucifixion, drops of blood in the garden. And what's He praying? Father, let this cup pass from me, but nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. Your will be done. And it's a prayer that all of us should be praying. God, not my prayer. Not my will, not the pattern that I've been conformed to, but your pattern and your will for my life, so that I will perform your good will, your acceptable will, and your perfect will, because I want nothing less than that. And we know because Jesus said to us, He said, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that you may have life, and life to the full, or abundant life. That is the will of God for your life on earth. The abundant and fullness of the life of heaven being lived through your life. So that the dysfunction's broken off, the addictions are broken off, the sin's broken off, the curses are broken off. You're no longer under a curse. You're under the abundant life of Jesus. All you have to do is change the way you think. Oh,